everyone, welcome back to my channel, Diamonds and Washi. My name is Katie, and today I'm here to talk about 6 things I wish I'd known before I did my first temperature project. In 2024, I decided to track the daily temperature where I live in diamond painting form. This is called a temperature project. It's pretty common in like cross-stitch circles, knitting circles, that kind of thing, but hasn't really been done much in diamond painting form, and I thought it would be really interesting to take on a project like this. So I took a cross-stitch chart and I turned it into a diamond painting, and in honor of the Year of the Dragon, this is my completed temperature project for 2024. So I wanted to kind of talk about like my thoughts overall with working on this, and hopefully share some learnings that if you were to take on a similar temperature project as a diamond painting, that you might find useful. So I did break it down into, 6 different parts, but first I did just want to show you here's how this looks. Just to explain in case you didn't know, like I said, this tracks the daily temperature where I live throughout the year, specifically the highs. So the daily high, you can choose to track the lows, the average, really whatever you want. But basically each part of the dragon is a different month, and then each of these little kind of sections is a particular day. Like this little stripe right here is a particular day in January, and so on and so forth. So it's like January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and then December. So that is how that turned out. I got this canvas from Amazon, and I got all of these drills. They're actually specialty drills. They're all from DP with Sparklers. Specifically, I used kind of a chunky glitter finish for the different colors in here, and then pixie dust for the white background. So if you were following my channel this year and heard my check-ins at various points, like in my months in review or my year in review, you would have heard me just say really honestly that this was, I called it one of my biggest flops of 2024, just because there was a lot that I personally didn't like about how it turned out, but a lot of it is just personal taste and subjective. And so please do take these 6 things that I wish I knew with that grain of salt, that you may hear me talk about these things and go, I don't see what the problem is. Like, no, it's fine. I love how it looks. And that's completely your prerogative, I promise. But these are things that I am planning to do differently and have already taken the steps to do differently for a temperature project for 2025. My materials are on the way, and so stay tuned. I will be sharing that project with you throughout the year, just like I did this one. So let me go ahead and walk you through these different suggestions. The top one, and this is absolutely like, it felt like I only got a couple of months into this project and immediately thought, I just feel like I picked too wide of a color family. So if you look at this and the different colors that you see represented in here, it really is like, it's a rainbow, right? Like there's everything from the blues and kind of the purples, which were the cooler ranges. Then we got into like some oranges, even some yellows and hot pinks and stuff for like the warmer colors. I think there's even like, is there a red? Yeah, there's some red in there. And I just personally, I wish that I had picked a much smaller range of colors. I wish that I would have just been like, let's just do blues and purples, or let's just do shades of pinks and reds or something like that. I wish, or pale pastels, or I just wish I would have picked something that wasn't a whole rainbow of colors, because I think it would have looked a little bit more cohesive and maybe a little bit less like a patchwork, which the chart I did not mention. I'm so sorry, I didn't mention this. This specific chart is from Christy's Corner on Etsy, and my chart for 2025 is also from this shop. It's just a different one. And so I love so much that Christy's Corner has these cross-stitch charts, and there are no specialty stitches in this one, which I'm going to get into that as a suggestion later. But I really like the way that like this kind of is really fun. There's more of a color spread in this one. So I feel like if I were going to do a rainbow range of colors, that I would probably just try to make it look a little bit different. Well, this is just an example of like, I think, how one of hers would have turned out. But I love the chart. I don't have any complaints about the chart. I should have said that up front. The effect of the colors is completely on me because I chose what colors I wanted to use for this project. So that's my number one tip is, and what I'm going to do differently in 2025 is I'm picking a narrower range of colors. I ordered the drills, like I said, and I think if I'm remembering right, my memory is terrible. I believe it with pinks, purples, and blues, and all in like kind of pastel tones. So additionally, well, okay, this gets into tip number 2. Okay, so tip number 1 was a narrower range of colors in general. Related to that, tip number 2 is I wish I would have gone with wider temperature ranges. What I mean by that is that with temperature projects, you are assigning a color to each temperature. So if your high is 70 degrees Fahrenheit that day, you would look at like the chart breakdown that you made and go, okay, on 70 degrees, it's going to be, 820, DMC 824 or something like that. Here is this very, very sophisticated chart that I made of my temperature ranges. I looked at the historical data, for where I live to see, okay, what are kind of my average, like, what are the lowest highs that I get? And I live in Southern California, so really, like, it's in our winter, it's pretty rare that we get below 60 degrees Fahrenheit, hence why my lowest color was 59 and below, and I didn't even use that color that many times, maybe 10, or less. But then what I did is I ended up having my temperature ranges, they were only a couple of degrees. So it was like from 60 to 62 degrees Fahrenheit. So if it was a high of 60, 61, or 62 degrees Fahrenheit, I was going to be using color code 158. If it was 63 or 64 degrees Fahrenheit, 824, 65 or 66 degrees Fahrenheit, 334. So it ended up being a total of 22 different colors. It's too many. Too many different colors in my opinion for how this turned out. And so I think I'm going to do wider temperature ranges. I'm thinking like more 3 or 4 degrees. I think the number of colors that I ordered for this year was something like 14, but I want to see them in person, and it's possible that I might pull out, decide not to use certain colors. So I'm giving myself some flexibility. So depending on how many colors I decide to use this year, that'll determine exactly how wide my temperature ranges are. But I think that I've set myself up to have more like 4-ish degree temperature ranges instead of like 2-ish. And I'm hoping I'm going to like that better. So that is something I might tentatively suggest, but you can certainly do kind of whatever works for you. I think that if you live in a place that has a wider range of temperatures, I'm trying to pull out the example of what what comes with the chart. This is just an example of temperature zones you can use. This is what came with the chart that I bought from Christie's Corner. And this is, the colors that you see on there. And these have much wider temperature ranges. And I think really suits if you live in an area that actually has a true winter and summer. And so this, is, more like a 3 to 4. Well, it kind of depends. I guess if you were going to use this, you would have a lot of different colors. But just for me, something I want to do differently that I'm hoping I'm going to like better is I want to do a smaller number of total colors and therefore wider temperature ranges. So we'll see how that ends up working out. But that's tip number 2. And then tip number 3, things that I wish I'd known rather, is I wish that I had picked a different kind of drill to use for the actual colors in here. So if you look up close, you can see these have a chunky glitter coating. It's very different from these are the pixie dust, which is the same as fairy dust from Diamond Art Club. It's a really subtle shimmer. It's more of a pearlescent effect, but these colors have a chunky glitter over kind of a semi-translucent diamond kind of look, right? And I feel like the chunky glitter, it's a really fun effect. I think that it was too overpowering to have that be every single color. I wish that I had gone with a subtler color, either done it all in the pixie dust finish, or honestly, just done it with regular drills. I don't think it had to be special drills, but I guess I was feeling just a little bit over the top, and this is how it turned out. I don't have any complaints about the drills themselves. This is this giant pack of drills that I got in from DP with Sparklers, and I had plenty left over in all of these different colors, and you can kind of see, again, these are just like the glitter drills, and it's kind of, in my opinion, a little bit of an overpowering effect. So I'm going to be one that's going to suggest, I wish I would have gone with, a subtler special drill. And that's my plan for 2025 is I am going to be doing their pixie dust colors. And so I hope that subtle shimmer will be nice. I still have to pick my background color. I recommend a neutral background color. I just went with kind of an off-white for this one. And I feel like it worked out. It worked out okay. Because this is a cross-stitch chart, the background color, they don't necessarily chart it for you, because if you're charting it on fabric, that's just where you're going to see the fabric. It's not like is the term full coverage? I'm not I'm not a stitcher really at all. But that's something you have to take into account when you're turning a cross stitch chart into a diamond painting is, okay, you have to be able to pick out a background color. And I definitely recommend that being something subtle. And I was glad that I didn't do like a chunky glitter coating for this one. Something else to take into account with at least these kinds of the glitter diamonds, with them being semi-translucent, there's certain colors, like I'm glad I didn't have too many light colors, because some of the light colors, you can start to see the black grid lines behind them, like in that yellow there. And so that is something else to take into account, is you're putting these drills down on a blank white canvas. And so there's going to be those black grid lines. And so if you have semi-translucent or translucent drills, you might see those black lines behind them. And I did not anticipate that going into this kit. I didn't expect that because I hadn't actually really worked with these glitter drills before. So, okay, so number 1 was use a narrow color family in general. Number 2 was wider temperature ranges. And then number 3 was to use a different kind of drills themselves and not do like a really bold special drill. Number 4 is figuring out what's worth spending your money on. And so this went both ways for me. I hugely regret, I hate this canvas material. This is from Amazon, and it is a product of procrastination. So don't procrastinate. I'm the worst procrastinator. It was mid-January when I was like, you know what? I think I want to do a temperature project. But in order for me to get like a made-to-order canvas from like, Jaded Gem Shop or something like that, that has a longer turnaround time because it's made to order. And I was like, well, shoot, I don't want to have to wait. Let me go on Amazon and see if there's anything available with Prime shipping, just looking for blank canvases. This is just like, it's fraying. Look at those sprays. You can see it like, yeah, right there. Just fraying all over. It's this super, super cheap material that is just the floppiest thing ever. And I wish that I had planned further ahead and then been able to get an actual decent quality canvas. Good news is my canvas for 2025 is from Jada Gem Shop. I don't have to do any weird like sectioning off of it or anything. It's going to be a much better material to work with for sure. Also, this year, for example, I'm really on a budget. And so, I think like for my background color, I'm just going to use drills from my spare drills, from like my spare drill storage. And that honestly was another benefit of using a fewer number of overall colors, was I didn't spend as much on getting those special drills from DP with sparklers. So I would say that you don't necessarily have to go out and spend as much as I did getting all of these glitter drills. It ended up being quite expensive. I think that it was, I don't want to misspeak, I think it was over $100 because I got 22 different colors, and each of these, I don't remember the number of ounces. I mean, I have so many left over in every single one of these colors. So it's like I really got my money's worth, but that's kind of a lot, I think, to spend on one project, even though it is something that it was I worked on it the entire year. But still, I think that's a really good way that I think you could save money if you are on a budget, is maybe dip into your leftover drills. Maybe you choose the colors that are in your project just simply based on what drills do you have in your leftover drills, if you save your, leftover drills from projects. If not, I think that you can even go on Amazon and just buy like some sets of drills for pretty inexpensive, just like regular ones that aren't special. I think there's a couple of different ways you could go about it. But I would say maybe don't skimp out on your canvas unless maybe there are some listings on Amazon that aren't like this cheap and flimsy, but I'm like, I wish I would have spent more on the canvas and less on the drills themselves. So that's what I wish I would have done differently. The 5th thing that I wish I'd known when I started this temperature project is that it would be more efficient to work on this in batches. Now I see with a lot of flossy friends that are doing this as a cross stitch or as a temperature blanket or something like that, that they will try to work on it really about every day, or at least once or twice a week, so that they don't fall too far behind. For me, I did that for the first couple of months, and I found it to be just not terribly time efficient because I was pulling all of these different things out. And I found after just a couple of months that instead, an honestly more efficient way to do it was once I got to the end of a given month, when I was getting ready to do my month in review video, I sat down and I pulled up the history of all of the high temperatures in my area for the past month and just wrote them all out. Literally, again, just very similar to this, where I just listed them. I was like, okay, January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and then wrote down the temperatures for those days. And then I would just I pulled out all the drills and I had the chart in front of me, and it took me, a couple hours at the end of each month to just go through and catch up on that. It helps that there is this website. It's called timeanddate.com. You could put in your city and you could say select, what time range you want. And I would always just put in, the last month or whatever. And so I was able to just scroll through there, look at what the high was for each day, write them all down. It was much more efficient to do it that way. So I will link to the timeanddate.website.com down below. And that was what I used. There were a couple of other suggestions that I've seen for websites where you can check the weather history for your area, but my city kept not showing up. It kept pulling the closest airport instead or something. And it was that's 20 miles closer to the beach. It's a 10-degree weather difference. Now I want to try to find something that's for my city. So that was a little bit of a struggle in that first month or two as well. And then when I found timeanddate.com, I was like, okay, this is perfect. It's accurate. And I could find it actually in my city. So yeah, number 5 is I wish that I would just start out working on it in batches, get to the end of the month and do it all at once there, and using the timeanddate.com website to find those past temperatures really easily and efficiently. Number 6, so this is actually something that it's I don't know how much it is I wish I'd known as much as I want to make sure you know, because I feel like this is really important if you're going to do this as a diamond painting, because as of the time of this filming, I am not aware of any diamond painting companies that have a whole temperature project kit that you can get. Right now, the only way that I have seen that you can really do a project like this is in diamond painting form is to get a cross-stitch chart and convert it into a diamond painting, a cross-stitch conversion. I've done several of those kinds of projects here on my channel. I'll have a playlist below if you want to hear some tips on how to kind of approach something like that. But, you could come up, with your own pattern or something like that, which is totally fine. But what's really important is that if you're looking for a chart, if you're going onto Etsy and typing in temperature cross-stitch chart or something like that, because I did that just very recently when I was picking out my chart for 2025. I want to make sure that you know that you need to double check these charts to make sure there are no specialty stitches. For example, things like back stitching, that's the big one, because if there is back stitching or if it's an embroidery chart or something like that, it's not going to translate to diamond painting form, because back stitching is again, not a stitcher. So if I'm explaining this poorly, I do apologize. It's basically you're adding details via line work, and it's almost like you'd have to take a Sharpie or something and right on top of the drills in order to get the same effect. And if you want to do something like that, go for it. Be crafty. You do you. But if you're wanting something that really is going to translate as closely as possible, you just want to take a look at the chart and make sure you're not seeing any of those specialty stitches. If you're not sure, if you're looking at it and you're going, I don't know if what I'm seeing is specialty stitches or not, I would think you could contact the shop owner through Etsy and just ask. I remember when there was a cross-stitch chart I was thinking of turning into a diamond painting. It was a stitch-along that I'm actually still in the midst of doing from Flossie Fox Shop. I was excited to do a stitch-along as a diamond painting, converting it. I sent a message to the shop owner ahead of time and just said, hey, I know this might sound unconventional, but I'm thinking of doing this project actually as a diamond painting, and just wanted to ask ahead of time, are there any specialty stitches in this that, wouldn't, besides just your typical, just your X. So I think that's something you could do. You could contact the shop owner and ask, and hopefully they'd be happy to help you out. And it really helped that also I picked out a chart that I loved. I loved so much getting to do a dragon temperature project for my very first project, because I love all things dragons. Because if I hadn't been in love with this chart, I think that I would have thrown in the towel a few months in, because it was very quickly becoming apparent to me that I wasn't loving the color palettes that I chose, and I didn't necessarily love how it was coming together. And was immediately thinking of things I wish I'd done differently. But because I was like, but it's a dragon and I'm just really curious and excited to see how it does all come together, that meant that I did finish it. I didn't just throw in the towel on it. So I think it is important to take a look and see if there is artwork or some kind of theme or style that really does catch your eye that you're going to find yourself enjoying working on. That also helps when I think you're taking on a project of something that's just really new to you, and it can be kind of complex. I think there is kind of a steep learning curve when it comes to turning a cross-stitch chart into a diamond painting for the first time. If you haven't cross-stitched before, you have to learn how to read cross-stitch charts. There's something about like just getting used to sort of the counting and reading it, and whether you're using a paper chart or something like Pattern Keeper, which is an app where you can use a digital chart. I think that having artwork or something that you're excited to come back to can make a really big difference, so that you're not feeling like, well, I don't like the artwork and I am not having fun with the process and it's frustrating. Then I think you're just setting yourself up to not complete it. So there are a few different, cross-stitch temperature charts on Etsy, I think, to choose from. And like I said, the one that I got for 2025 is also from Christie's Corner, and it's a bookshelf style that I have seen some other people do actually this past year. And I think it's going to be really, really cute. So just to give you a super quick recap. 6 things I wished I'd known before I did my first temperature diamond painting project. I wish that I had picked an overall narrower color family. Instead of doing a rainbow, choose just like pale pastels, or pick like 2 or 3 colors and work within those. Number 2, I wished I had picked wider temperature ranges. Instead of doing like 1 to 2 degrees for each color, I wish I would have done at least 3 to 4. And that's what I'm going to be trying this year. Number 3, I wish I had picked a subtler kind of drill and not this particular special drill to do on this project. I think I would have liked the effect of it, and I feel like it wouldn't have masked the colors as much and been so overpowering. Number 4, I wish I would have, not procrastinated, but also just known where it was worth putting my money into. I wished I would have gotten a better canvas and not necessarily spent so much on the drills. Number 5, I wish that I had just from the beginning worked on this in batches instead of trying to work on it every single day. I feel like it was a lot less tedious and a lot more efficient to just go in and pull up all the temperatures at once at the end of the month and just sit down and complete it all at once. And then number 6, this is just I want to make sure is make sure that you're picking a chart that doesn't have any specialty stitches in it, and that it is artwork that you actually love and are excited to see come together as a temperature project. So that's my set of suggestions. I would love to hear from you in the comments, especially I know that I'm not the only one that took on a temperature project as a diamond painting this year. What do you wish you would have known? And do you have any questions for me? Now, if you're wanting more of a how-to, like how would I approach even getting one of these projects, I know that maybe I should have done that kind of video first, but I'm waiting on my materials to get here. My drills are in the mail. They should be here in the next few days. You are going to see a video from me here very, very soon, hopefully in the next week or two, that is going to be more of a breakdown of, okay, here's how you go about getting one of these projects. I know we're a little bit into 2025 at this point, and that it might be technically a little bit late to try to order your materials for something like this, but I don't think it would be, too much to play some catch up, and then you could, go through the rest of the year. But do stay tuned. I'm going to try to explain as best I can in a way that is very beginner friendly, especially if you're only a diamond painter and haven't done cross stitch before, just how to go about this, and also unbox my materials with you all, which I'm really looking forward to doing. And I'll show you not the actual chart, because copyright, we don't show actual cross stitch charts, only if you've paid for it. That's for you, but I'll at least show you something like this, so you can see just an example of what the artwork is I'm going to be doing as a temperature project for 2025. But if you have specific questions you'd like me to answer in that video, or just questions you want me to, I'll be keeping an eye on the comments and try to answer as best I can there as well. Please do leave a comment below, and I will do my best to answer to the best of my ability. I still consider myself very much a novice in this area. I'm very much still learning. I have a feeling we'll get to the end of 2025 and have a whole new set of things I wish I'd done differently, and maybe 2026 will be the year that I get all of the different things right. But for now, I hope that this was helpful to hear what I wish I'd known for my 2024, my first temperature project. And thanks for watching. if you want to see more diamond painting videos, I would love to have you here on my channel. Please subscribe. I do things like unboxings, tutorials, and kind of just all things diamond painting like this video here on my channel, and would love to have you here. And yeah, I hope you're taking care and that you're doing well, and I look forward to talking to you in my next video. Bye.